Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society. And here we are once again in the worldwide headquarters of the Society, in its studios, for Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. And tonight, in the headquarters studios, we are very pleased to have a wonderful friend and singer and artist, Alison Chase Radcliffe.
Hey.
Hey, Alison. It's so nice to have the opportunity to talk with you about some of these things.
Thanks for having me.
You know, because our mission is making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace, and so here we are connecting. And I think I've been honestly wowed and amazed by musicians, really good musicians like yourself, and always interested in how music came into their lives, like how music came into your life, you know, like a thunderbolt when you were 21. I think that doesn't happen. Well, I mean, it can. Yes, it can. But, you know, were you in your house, did people play music? Your parents play music? You listen to music? When do you remember, and what time did you start sort of just getting into music as something that you really wanted to do?
For me, it happened probably before I was born. And as soon as I could sing or make sounds, I was making music, or at least trying to. And I started piano probably when I was 3 or 4. I started playing fiddle when I was 4. And art was the same way. My mom is a musician. My dad's an artist. So I was just basically surrounded by both things and have been doing it literally my entire life.
It's so interesting what you said about knowing you were going to be a musician before you were born. There's a lot of research out about, you know, studying infants, or, you know, in the womb, children in the womb, and that they do recognize music, and they're almost used to music by the time they are born. And infants as young as 6 months can discern a wrong note in a sequence. So, I mean, that's pretty profound. So, you know, through your life, were you primarily piano during your younger years, or were you primarily singer?
I would say that singing was always the dominant instrument. And then next to that, piano was probably the next most constant thing. And then I played fiddle mainly from 4 to 14.
And so when exactly did you sort of become, so that you could, I mean, basically just hear pitches and notes? I've never really seen anyone, or heard anyone, I don't know, observed anyone who just had such pitch perception as you do. And did you work at it? When do you remember it being something? How do you perceive pitch, different pitches in music? Like visually, like actual, almost physical things? A different sort of vibration than color?
I would say there probably is some sort of visual component. It's not something that when I think about music or talk about it, I recall like a catalog or a vocabulary of visual I have talked about pitch landscape, not color per se. It's not very, it's very, it's hard to talk about, I guess. It's like its own language. I have tried to verbalize it. The pitch landscape thing, it was, I was talking about the landscape within a particular pitch, and it's the geography of a pitch, and that is I can see something when I think about that, but it's so the simple answer is yes, there is a visual component. I mean, it's not just visual. It's it's a multi-sensory and emotional, intellectual, just.
So when you sing, I mean, what is it about that why do you want to keep singing? What is it about singing that you love? It has this almost visual sort of sensory experience.
I guess all the forms of art that I do have the process of creating my work, whether it's music or visual art, is the most whole experience that I can have. It makes me feel like I am supposed to be alive. It's my reason for existing.
So that's quite something. I'm not sure I've heard that expressed quite like that before. I think it's pretty profound, really, and it's. I think in some ways, a lot of people don't completely understand how whole it can make you feel, as opposed to be, like fighting stuff.
It has its own fights. I mean, art can also be like the most difficult thing in the world because this is a constant struggle with artists when I think we sometimes get addicted to the like feeling the muse or the inspiration. We get addicted to that feeling that can be a component of art, but it isn't always there. And I've learned over the years that it's really important to stick with the art even if you're not experiencing that that inspirational feeling, the when you like when everything is colored with this like sparkly magical muse feeling that comes and goes, but we can't be at the whim of that. And I've learned that, that if I wait for that to come along, it's really it's difficult to you have to keep your technical chops and skills up. You have to work at it even when it's like not that fun, basically, is what it comes down to. But I'm growing to really appreciate that, because if you do that, it can have its own momentum and be its own amazing magical thing.
So we've had this conversation a little bit around recently. I've read some stuff. I think Alan and I might have talked about it. That it doesn't seem there really is not such a thing as just an inherent, complete musical skill and talent. It comes from working at it.
Absolutely.
And that's what you were just saying. And I'm trying to learn the guitar up the neck, and I got to make these chords, and it's the deliberate practice, I think, that makes a difference. So you practice art, you practice music. I've seen, dude, I think you had a closet full of tapes that you had recorded of yourself.
Yes.
And so did you listen to the tapes? Did you,
yeah.
And you, when you were listening to them, what were you thinking? What were you looking for, sort of? Listening.
I was basically, the tapes, recording yourself is a great way to just, it's a great way to hear yourself, because, you hear yourself inside your head and it's different, because, when you first hear a recording of your voice and you're like, who's that, or like, ew, I don't want to sound like that. But if you use, I started using tapes as a tool to basically mold my voice into what I wanted it to be, and it's so I could hear myself, how it sounds from the outside, and both mold my voice but also unite the two voices, unite my inside my head voice and my outer voice. And I guess any musician or artist, I have a certain artistic vision that that I'm trying to realize or whatever, and so that recording is one of the greatest tools that for it's like looking at your, if you're doing visual art,
looking at your painting as you're painting it.
Well, yeah, that's really important. Yeah, open your eyes.
So.
No, but if you look at what you're doing, if you look at your painting in the mirror, you see all the mistakes. So that it's really, it's analogous to that. It's the same. You hear qualities of your voice that you can't hear from inside.
Do you have some favorite memories of singing at a certain venue? I mean, I've seen you sing at, in DC at the Blues Festival, all around, so many places. Where do you like to sing, really? What's been your favorite place and why? What is the vibe? What's the vibe that you really grabs you? Well,
so I the most recent place that I played was was in sort of a noisy restaurant bar, and I never used to like that, but it was really it was a great experience, and I really enjoyed it. And I mean, there were a lot of different elements. The stage was it was a tiny stage, and there were like these slow disco lights going, and the sound was good.
Disco lights are pretty cool.
I know. I mean, if you have the multicolored lights, it's kind of just great. You can't go wrong. Alan Holmes, who's right over here, and I have played a lot of places that that were awesome, and one of them was actually right here in this house. and actually that is definitely one of my favorite places ever to play, and I love the I love that everyone's there to like hear the music. They all want to be there to hear what you're doing, which is not the case necessarily in a bar, you know.
Yeah.
And I think probably that, I mean, I've done a couple house concert. We did a couple house concerts together, and those are, when I think about like what's my ideal setting, I think that probably is my ideal setting, because of the intimacy and the you know that you're playing, and you know people are there to appreciate what you're doing, and that matters to an artist.
Well, you've moved a lot of people with your songs.
Thanks.
You know, really sort of like physically, visibly moved. So it's pretty powerful. So in some ways, the $64 question that's the one I like to ask about is, you know, with this mission of this Planetary Gig Society, making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace. Music is so powerful, and it seems like music ought to be able to make a better world even better than it is. You know, musicians are amazing in what they do and what they've achieved and accomplished and bring to people. You're living in a small town in Vermont, I guess, and
kind of.
in a community, and do you have thoughts about what you'd like to see? You know, more about music. What would you do? How would you do it? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, I do. I definitely want to see more artists. I want to see artists valuing themselves and their art, and valuing it as a service and a skill that deserves compensation. I want to see artists demanding that, and I want to see like more venues that are this is not just in Vermont, it's everywhere, you know, like you know, not being like, oh, well, hey, you know, if we make some money at the bar here, yeah, we'll shoot you a couple bucks. No, I want to see less of that and more of like you know, fair compensation being given for artists of all.
Absolutely, it's amazing the hard work, the intention, what musicians and artists go through to bring beauty and magic really into our lives is amazing. And you know, they and teachers and whatever get disvalued compared to, you know, big money types and military and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we internalize it, and we help to perpetuate it as well, because it's just so deeply rooted in our society, or whatever. Like, just we grow up learning that you know, that artists are art is like a gift from God, and either you have the art gene or you have the music gene. How many times have you heard people say, "Oh, well, I don't have that gene,
Right.
so I can't play," or whatever. And so it's not looked at as a real skill. Even it's not seen as something that and we talked about this earlier. It's not seen as like the craft isn't seen. Artists are seen as these like magical fairies, and they're yes, there's a lot we can't explain, and there's magic involved, but also behind the scenes there's like years and years of study and hard work that never stops. If I don't draw or play music for a week, I am fucked. Like I need to that puts me back a bunch of steps, right? And I need to it's like restarting your engine, I have to do a lot of work to get caught up again, So
I'm at that place with a guitar. Oh man, I love doing that all the time. So last question. So if musicians were out there more, getting more compensated, even able to even take more time to study and work on their craft and bring music to people, I guess that you think that'd be good. What do you think could happen?
Well, I think everyone would be happier because it would be more. We'd have more great art that was more accessible to everyone, and everyone wants art. That's the thing. They may not want to pay for it because we're taught that there's this gray area of and this devaluing. So but if artists were to start valuing themselves more and demanding compensation, I think it would be contagious. I think that that people that may not value us now, they would start valuing us, and then it would be we would get to hear musicians see artists who we may not see a lot because they're in their studio working. They're not getting gigs. They're not getting shows.
Mm-hmm.
They're working their asses off on their work because it means everything to them, but they're not out there for everyone to appreciate. So I think it would be a beautiful, beautiful, magical, wonderful thing.
Nice. Okay, well, thanks, Alison. Really appreciate it. That was a great conversation. I'm so glad to talk with you. And
thanks for having me.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks. You've been listening to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society. We talk with musicians and others about the power of music and how we can use music to help create a better world. Please check out our website, www.planetarygigs.org, for information about some of the organizations promoting music, resources about the power of music, including movies, books, articles, and new research on music and the brain. We do welcome your support. You can donate to the Planetary Gig Society, which is a 501c3 charitable organization, on the website. You can also get a free email signature block demonstrating your support for the Planetary Gig Society. Please also follow us on Facebook, Planetary Gig Society, Twitter, @Planetary Gigs, Instagram, Planetary Gigs, and submit your input, short videos, comments on the power of music in your life. Remember to use the hashtag Planetary Gigs when you do. So we hope you will check out our podcast again soon. Please subscribe if you'd like, and we look forward to more great conversations about the power of music. Planetary Gig Society, making connections through music with the intention of creating peace. That's what we're going to do.